Welcome to the Talent with Purpose Project podcast. If you dream of making it in film, fashion, television, or theater, you're in the right place. Join us as we connect with today's top talent agents, managers, and casting directors, as well as performers who started out just like you, bringing you insider insights and expert guidance to help you shine in the performing arts. Brought to you by Gold Talent International, this podcast is your gateway to success. From Hollywood to Las Vegas and beyond. Are you ready? Let's go.
Today's guest on our podcast is very exciting, very inspiring. So we're going to introduce him to you. His name is Oswald Hunter. He is an actor. He is a model. He's a writer. He's also a singer, a director, and an award-winning film producer. And he tells us that acting is the art of wearing emotions like a costume, stepping into imaginary worlds and revealing the humanity that connects us all through every performance. And this gives us a unique exploration of truth and imagination combined. And we'd just like to say thank you, Oswald, for coming onto the podcast, and welcome.
My absolute pleasure, and thank you, Paul, for having me. Very excited to share my journey and inspire fellow artists.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. And I think that's the whole purpose of our conversations that we have with all of our guests going forward. And it really is just giving us a unique perspective of everyone's journey going forward. What inspires you as a person every day to get up and do what you do? Because you're pretty comprehensive in your approach.
Yeah, well, the first thing that inspires me to get up, of course, is storytelling. And my whole goal with storytelling is to make sure that people start being more aware again of the importance of human relations amongst each other. With everything that is going on in the world right now, we are so focused on the misery, we are so focused on the wars, we are so focused on everything that is going wrong, that I want to be able to bring some positivity back through storytelling and show people how to connect and actually gain the profound thinking within the audience again. And then what wakes me up every morning is more consistency than motivation, because motivation comes and goes, but consistency brings you where you want to go in life.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important process of understanding if you want to get anywhere in life, whether it's in the world of art and entertainment or in other aspects of life, we need to be very consistent in our approach. How would you, just throwing a question out to you at this moment, how would you align the aspects of consistency and purpose?
I think when you're passionate about something, you will always find downfalls to it. You can be passionate, whether it's in sports, whether it's in the arts, in any shape or form of activity that you do with a passion, you will find moments that you're demotivated. You don't feel like doing it. Maybe you got some negative reviews, or you got somebody talking negative directly to your face. And then consistency empowers you to overcome that negativity. Consistency really gives you a strength that nothing else will give you, because it's in the small victories where you can say at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it, but I did it anyway. It's that euphoric moments that keeps you pushing forward and keeps reminding you on why you're doing it. What is the greater goal of what you're pursuing?
That's some deep insight into that particular process. And of course, we need purpose and passion. We need that commitment to the self and to grow within the self. And we need all of that in order to just move forward in life and get to that place where we know that we've achieved and we've done things. So Oswald, reading your bio on your website, oswaldhunter.com, for any of our viewers or listeners who want to go and read a bit more about Oswald. So many people we know within the industry's life really began with trauma, with problems, with issues, with growing up, with difficulties, with challenges, and yours is no different. You describe that you just suddenly decided one day you'd had enough of being held back and not achieving what it is that you wanted to achieve, and your wings grew and you started to fly. Can you tell us what was that trigger point within you emotionally that started that process in place, if it's not too personal?
No, absolutely. I'm more than welcome to share it. For me, basically, having lost everything down to the last drop and actually nothing to fall back on was for me a strong catalyst to realize, okay, so what am I doing with my life? Where am I heading? And why am I doing the things I'm doing? You know, growing up, my youth has been very troublesome. I've experienced multiple traumas in different areas of life growing up. And when I reached the teenage years, I was constantly told what I have to do and what is expected of me by society. So instead of trying to discover for myself who I am, what I am, and what my purpose is in life, I try to conform myself and basically searching for acceptance from others. And then having done that for so many years, I mean, when I started acting, I was nearly 38. I was at the end of my 37th life year. Up until that moment, I've constantly listened to advice from everybody else. I've constantly given direction to my life of what others told me I was supposed to do. And the more I did it, the more I lost myself in the process, the more I gave away of myself and truly feeling lost in the world, constantly trying to adapt of what people required of me and never found a sense of purpose, never found anything fulfilling or a place of belonging. Then throughout the Corona process, I had a lot of things happening. I ran my own business at that time. There were a lot of issues because of Corona in getting more jobs. I lost a lot of friends. There were a lot of issues, financial, the whole core of my life, the whole basis of my existence, which I built upon advice and expectations made by others, just fell from under me. And it was in that moment that I had the possibility to stand still and reflect on where I've gotten in life and how many years I've dedicated myself to the purpose of others instead of my own true purpose. So, every great artist or small artist has a baggage with them, bigger or smaller, but it all boils down to coming down in that moment of reflection where you start to realize, what am I doing? Where am I going? And is this what I want to do? And for me, I found the passion within acting. It literally saved my life. I could find the essence of me as a person through acting, and I was able to tell my story more or less through acting, and I could inspire others with storytelling. So I found this profound sense of purpose to the world as well. This is also what comes down to the storytelling, where I want to inspire people into human connections again. And I don't expect anybody to have such a background. I don't expect anybody to go through any trouble to find passion in what they're doing. But it certainly helped me to find a direction and inspire me to finally dare to think about where I want to go in life, regardless of what other people think or regardless of what other people have to say about it.
What I'm hearing is that you don't really let the past define you, but you've certainly used it as a launching pad for your own journey as a human working within the world of storytelling.
Absolutely. You know, the past has nothing to tell you anymore. The past has only given you direction up until the present. And I see a lot of young people, especially, struggling with where they come from and give themselves new purpose in life. I did find that if you use it as a tool, it can be enriching, actually. It doesn't matter what you've gone through, or maybe you have had the perfect upbringing, but your past can be a tool to propel you forwards. And in addition, there's a reason why the windshield of a car is much larger than the rear view mirror. You're going ahead, you can't go back, so don't, how difficult it may be, don't hold on to it.
That's very deep and profound words. So thank you for sharing all of that. On the opening statement on your website, which I read out a few minutes ago as we began, you talk about acting as a unique exploration of truth and imagination. So it's a bit of a trick question. I'm throwing it out. I'm sure you'll be able to respond. What's the difference between truth and imagination?
I would say when it comes to acting, there is not really a clear distinction between imagination and truth, because whatever you do on camera has to be truthful. Whatever you imagine, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a character, whether it's where you are, that imagination has to become your truth. So the two needs to be intertwined.
Yeah. So as a multi-genred person in the world of entertainment, I mean, actor, model, writer, you sing, you're a director, you've done so much work. Why so many things?
Because the beauty of storytelling is that you can do it in that many shape or forms. And what I can't get out through acting based on a script that I'm getting from somebody else, I write scripts and I direct because I can tell my story in a different way. I write books because I can tell stories in a totally different way, which attracts another person. Modeling, funny enough, is also a shape or form of acting. When you're a model, you're trying to portray something without words as well. And I think doing all these forms of storytelling enriches my life, but it also gives me the tools to enrich other people's lives.
Yes, I think that's important for new aspiring talent who wants to be in the industry to understand, is that this is a process that changes lives, not only oneself, but also changes everybody else's. And if somebody else's story can be told differently, and they can see themselves through different eyes instead of an identity that they've created for themselves or allowed to be built around themselves, then they're well in the path to achieving potential as a human and to be more successful within themselves.
Absolutely. And the benefit as well from a technical point of view, if you're up and coming as an artist, if you're up and coming as an actor, knowing what it's like also to stand behind the camera, being part of the crew, talking to a director or being the director and understanding how to bring a vision to life. Or when you write books and you try to read it as a third party and you realize, like, hey, how am I perceiving what I just wrote down as somebody that doesn't know the story? It gives you so much more power to portray your part as an actor. It gives you the knowledge and understanding of how movie making works. So if you want to be a great actor, it's not just learning the lines, it's not just becoming truthful in your character, it's also understanding the totality of storytelling and the importance of people behind the camera.
Yeah, I think there are so many processes happening where people deny their own authenticity, and they replace it by pretending to be something else instead of actually sinking themselves deeply into that particular process. So they become something different, something new. not something wrong or right, but something that has been sitting deep within them for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
Um, and for me, that's always important to see that progress happening within anybody getting into the entertainment industry or this world of performing arts or whatever we call it, because a performance is not just a performance. A performance is an outlet, but also a process of showing people the truth within themselves of something that lies dormant that can be awakened. And I think that's what's attractive in watching a performance, watching a song, listening to a song, watching a fashion show, watching an actor doing what they do to the very best of their ability.
Absolutely. You know, it all comes down to relatability. If you watch a movie and you've forgotten about it 5 minutes after you've seen it, it shows a clear lack of relatability. And I think for every viewer and every listener, just think about it. When you listen to a song, when you read a book, when you watch a movie, and it sticks with you, there is an element of relatability in it that really connects to you. How weird it might be, it is something that you can find within yourself as well.
Well, there are parts of the self that we look at that people don't often identify with or are not taught about it throughout their lives, which all play a very big role in who they are as a human and the potential they have in order to grow as a human.
Mm,
So for me, the interest is always about growth and potential and what can be achieved and what the outcome will be and where we can go without having to have a final say in any of that particular process. It doesn't matter. What matters is the journey. So one of those things that really interests me is a spiritual depth of looking at what we can call the inner family within the self. And one of those things is the inner child,
yeah.
which expresses very, very deeply in a lot of people, or some people suppress it to a level where they're far too serious in their own well-being, never learn to have fun, that kind of thing. When I look at your bio,
Yeah.
and you've written several books. The first one that I can see is called Poppy's Adventure,
Yeah.
and it refers to a young girl really on the cover and some of the process going on. What do you think that reflects in terms of your own inner child, or what you are sharing through that book?
Well, let me start off by saying that Poppy is actually a real life child. Poppy does exist in real life. And I've met her last year in Los Angeles. And what inspired me is the incredible integrity this young child has and the openness, and really reflects a personality which I wish a lot of adults would still hold on to. The sincerity of engagement with others, the sincerity of opening up to others is what inspired me to write this book, first of all. As a huge animal lover and nature lover, I combined her inspiring personality into this fantasy story and showing the importance of interactions with nature and animals. What she gave me in particular was a huge mirror, once again, a reflection of who I am as a person. And having the interactions with her for several days, she was a child actor. I went to an event where I performed as an adult actor, and her mother gave me a reflection of who I want to be as an adult. I've lost that throughout my childhood, throughout my teenage years. As an adult, I have shielded myself from interactions with others up until a certain level. I was very cautious with opening up or letting others open up towards me. And she is truly so inspiring in showing it is safe to open up. It is safe to show who you truly are because you're accepted for who you are. That's the whole core behind writing that book. Honesty, openness, and vulnerability, basically.
Yeah, having written a few books myself, I understand what you're saying about that. It just takes that one aspect or one person to bring that inspiration into place, and everything starts to click in terms of what one is inspired by, what one can then share, what story unfolds from that particular process. And I've just had exactly the same thing. I have the book title, but and I know what I want to share with it, but it has not yet come to the surface until I came across someone's path who has a particular name which actually deals with the subject matter in the book. And then it
Right.
all started to come together. Now it's just a matter of telling the story.
Yeah, that's basically how it came about with Poppy as well. Before that, I've written a different book, which is, I would say, 70% based on my life. So I had an opportunity to go through some of the processes once again in my life and write it onto paper and see how far I've gotten in life already. You know, realizing that nothing has held me back. And then when I met Poppy, I already had a foundation of the story. I already knew that there was something in me that I want to get out. But Poppy and her mother gave me the inspiration and basically finalized the book for me. I just had to put it onto paper.
Right. Sharing a story that needed to be expressed. And it really is amazing process going on. I think the second book that you are referring to, or the first book that you're referring to now in the second part of the conversation, that's called Fate or Faith. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations. You know how inspiring it is to understand the courage that it takes to express oneself in so many different ways, because you need to be honest in these particular aspects. Otherwise, it just doesn't come across authentically. It comes across as a story and not necessarily real.
Thank you. You know, it's for me, it's actually how to say that. For me, it doesn't feel as that people have to be grateful or proud of me. I am incredibly inspired of everybody I see around me. I work with amazing people. I meet amazing people. And for me, it's such a genuine pleasure to share stories, to tell stories, to try to give back what they are giving me through storytelling. So I just hope that anybody who reads it or watches my movies or whatever it is, that they feel a sense of connection with me, that whatever they are doing in whatever art form they are pursuing their dreams, that they're not doing it alone.
And that's all we really have in terms of being able to express a story, but our humanity, our human side, who we are as a person, and what has brought us to this particular place in time.
Right.
So let's continue doing all of those stories along the way. How many movies are behind you now?
Well, the movies I've produced and written, I have done one short film which has won a couple of international festivals, has actually been nominated at the Cannes Film Festival. And I'm right now in the middle of pre-production for a full-blown feature film called Faces. Those are my own projects. As an actor being hired, oh, people are welcome to look at my resume. I lost count. I'm just happy to act whenever I can.
Absolutely. Now, you've certainly been an actor and been part of some of the movies. And then you stepped up, as you said, behind the camera and started to produce a whole lot
Yeah,
of different content along the way. So the first movie is For Better or Worse. Is that correct?
that's absolutely correct.
And that's won you some film festival finalist awards.
Yeah. So the story behind For Better or Worse is truth based. I had a friend. She got married. Unfortunately, after many years of marriage, this gentleman passed away of cancer. In his final stages of having cancer, she went through this huge emotional turmoil with him, and she actually filed for a divorce. And a week after the divorce was finalized, the gentleman passed away. And up until this day, and we're talking 10 years later, she is not dating. She doesn't want to meet anybody. She wants to stay single because she's regretting that decision of getting a divorce from him every second of her life. She still wished up until this day that she would have been with him to the bitter end. I took that story. Once again, it has everything to do with human connection. It has everything to do with humility and humbleness in certain situation, and having a mutual understanding of what somebody else goes through. And I just wanted to get that story out. I just wanted to tell it through my eyes. And I took one of my dearest friends and an actress I have a huge amount of respect for, and I said, I don't have money, but I need to film this story. And yeah, I posted it on YouTube. We completed the whole shoot in one day. And it was just something as a therapy form for me, but also for my friend. We got contacted by film festivals that they spotted my film on YouTube and asked me if I would be willing to submit it. Based from those submissions, it just snowballed into people asking more and more if I wanted to submit it. And it went all over the world. It went from Los Angeles to New York, and then it ended up in India. Then it went to Tokyo. It actually went to Australia and New Zealand as well. And we've won several festivals around the globe. And once again, it goes to show you, you don't need a whole lot of expensive equipment, or you need a huge budget or crew. It comes down to the passion of storytelling. And if you really love cinema, if you're really passionate about movie making, you will get there. You don't need $1 million budget.
And also have people around you that believe in you and understand the inspiration of telling the story.
Oh, absolutely. Just to give them a shout out, one of my best friends, he's a youngster. He's going to turn 17 next week, but he is an incredibly talented videographer. I mean, the passion and dedication he gives his craft already for many years is something for many other teenagers to look up to. Victor, and he puts the same amount of passion in his work as I do. And he understands my vision and knows how to capture it on camera. And then the actress I had to work with, Erica Mittig, this girl in her 20s has the same consistency and dedication to the art of acting, and it shows. Whatever she takes on, whatever part, whether she creates it herself or she's being hired as an actress, I'm absolutely stunned by her performances every single time. And when she said, yes, I would love to do this short film with you, and put up, like, I think we worked for 16 hours, 17 hours straight that day getting that movie shot. It was just, I was overwhelmed. And it shows in the movie.
It's fantastic. I'll have to have a look at it on YouTube because I've only researched the basics for our conversation today, but I'll definitely go and have a look at it and then work with it. And that's great. You know, what's coming from this conversation right now is that when you believe in yourself, everyone else will believe in themselves and you as well.
Yeah. It does not take away insecurity. Let that be clear. I see and hear a lot of youngsters, but also people my age, I'm 41 now, talk about how they are inhibited by fear or insecurity. And I just want to bring that to your listeners and viewers that I am insecure pretty much 24/7. Every single step I take, I'm very critical of myself. Am I doing this right? Am I saying this right? Am I writing this correctly? Am I bringing the right character? The difference is I'm no longer holding myself back because of it. It becomes my strength. It becomes a tool once again for me to use that, you know, the critical side pushes me to become better. The critical side pushes me to engage in new conversations, in refreshing topics, in exploring what else is being offered within the industry. but it's not going to hold me back anymore. So to anybody out there that is nervous, that is scared, see it as your biggest asset, because as soon as you learn how to use it in the correct way, it's going to be your greatest tool in becoming the best you can be.
Really is very, very empowering to hear all of this. Thank you for sharing that, Oswald. Because, yes, many of the young talent that we work with, and just for me to define young talent means new talent, aspiring talent, people who want to get into the industry, their fear rules their decisions and their processes.
Yeah.
And that is really like leading a cow to a slaughterhouse at times, where they just cannot move forward. They're rooted in fear.
No,
And that's the end of that process. And no amount of encouragement can change the fear once it takes hold.
exactly. And, there's a lot of people I talk to, and in what you say, young actors is the one that are up and coming, no matter the age. I always tell them the same thing. You're scared of taking the next step. But what is scarier, taking that next step or looking back in 5 years' time, not having taken that step?
Yeah. You see, it often comes back to that aspect of the what I term the shadow self of the inner child, needing permission or needing someone's validation or needing someone's approval in order to go and be who you really are.
Yeah.
So that process is very, very deeply embedded in the way that we work and look at things along the way. Tell us about, and this is just the next process. Tell us about Faces, your next movie. You say that's in post-production?
That's in post-production. We are now in the marketing phase of the whole project. To run it down, I have done the script, the feature film script. I've made a short film adaptation, which will be the proof of concept. I've done all the logistics, all the planning. I've designed sets. I've done the storyboard. So everything that is involved with the practical side of movie making, I've prepared. I've now got together with a marketing team. We're going to do some short reels on it. And we are then going to post this and hopefully get in touch with the right sponsors, all the technical terms, return on investments and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
People want to see the seriousness of the business, and for that you need also visual material. Once we got the visual material done, we are contacting sponsors. We're going to contact angel investors. We're going to reach out to people and see that we get the finances together to produce our short film, which is going to be the proof of concept. A proof of concept is not just what kind of story do you want to tell, but you're going to show streaming services, the technical quality of it, the set design, costume, makeup, everything that is involved with it. If the proof of concept is going to be approved, we're going to head on and do the feature film, which is incredibly exciting to see where we're going to end up with that.
And so for those young talent and aspiring artists and actors who wanting to be in the world of the movies and film, that's why there's so many different producers on big productions. You get producers and executive producers because of all of their contacts and networks and everything else that goes into that entire process of creating a movie or a film. So yeah, a team is needed that needs to get developed. I feel that that's what Oswald is sharing right now, is that a team will slowly come together, as it must and as it will, in order to tell that particular story. And you may not know the full outcome, but you know what the story is.
Well, let me put it like this. I'm stubborn enough to know that that feature film is going to be made. It's just a question of when, not if.
Well, thank you very much. That's very promising, and I look forward to it. I know if you go onto your Facebook page, you have a video where you explain about this movie, Faces.
Absolutely. I think I actually posted it on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Anybody that wants to reach out to me and has questions about the project, welcome to ask me. If anybody is curious on what does it take to produce a movie and they want to know the finer technical details, they're all welcome to contact me and ask me questions.
Really, very good. So we'll put some of your links into the podcast and underneath it when we load it, when we publish it. And hopefully we can circulate a bit more for you as well. But you are very good at saying things like, don't wait for opportunities, you need to create them.
Absolutely. If there's one thing, and how depressing it may sound, the world is not going to hand you anything on a silver platter unless you're born as the son or daughter to Johnny Depp or some other great artist. If you want to achieve something, you need to work for it yourself. Some people wait for doors to open. I don't. I knock the doors down.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So reach out to people. And that's basically how I've been doing it from the get-go. I know that if I want to make it, I'm not able to do everything by myself. Certain steps, sure. But it is very important to realize that you need guidance. You're not going to know everything all the time, but you need to reach out. And then if you feel like, I want to become an actor, but it's so hard for me to get parts, I understand. This is why I started making my own productions. Just get your face out there, and it can be done big, it can be done small. Just getting your face on a camera and performing something you've written a minute long is already enough to get going. It gives you the opportunity to have an understanding of the writing. It gives you an opportunity, the understanding of how you're going to shoot a certain scene, and you're practicing your acting. And it is an evolving thing. You need to practice to become better. So if there's no opportunity for you at the moment, create them. Start writing, start filming, start doing sketches, whatever it is. But just get going. Show the industry that you're serious about it. And that's what I've been doing. It's just a matter of getting your head in there and start making movies.
Very interesting dynamic. There is a young actor, Ian Armitage, who starred in the Young Sheldon series, which was the spin-off from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
And he started making movies and his own content on YouTube when he was 4 or 5 years old. And of course, he's a young adult today, but look what that led him to, was a massive series and huge acknowledgement of the work that he was doing for himself.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And, you know, everybody's life is interesting enough to write something about. And you can choose whatever genre, you can choose the length of it, you can choose the content of it. My biggest advice would be, don't try to copy anybody. Be genuine to who you are, because at the end, you're going to be cast based on what you bring to the table. You know, everybody has an acting technique, sure, but it's your unique perspective on a part that's going to get you cast. So when you start producing, when you start making content in whatever shape or form, be true to yourself. There is enough in your life going on, your experiences, family members, whatnot, you can take an example of and create it into valuable content that casting agents, producers, agents love to see.
Yeah, so just tell your story, correct?
Absolutely. That's it.
Well, I think that's a wonderful aspect of our podcast tonight that's going to inspire many, many of our viewers and listeners as we grow and we work with it. Oswald, I just need to do some housekeeping at the moment in terms of speaking with our viewers, and just saying is well done for being on the podcast, and thank you for being here. We appreciate it. But we would also like you to please share this podcast with people in your circle, people in your community. And one way to share it is to please like and subscribe, as well as just putting a comment into the podcast, because the algorithm then chooses those particular quantity of comments, and they begin to share it on a further level. So let's inspire people. Let's create that project between ourselves and let them see what it's really like in the industry and why they want to be in here, because we don't need to mask anything. The industry is tough. The industry is challenging. The industry is something that can swallow you up if you're not careful. And what Oswald has been sharing with us is about being real and authentic, being truthful, and also living in your imagination and letting that then tell the story of life and what it is and who you are, etc., etc. After all, we are humans, and storytelling helps humans. It is a ages-old process. It comes through many different worlds and communities and followings. It comes through from our ancestral process right through to modern day society. Let's tell the story of who we are and what it is that we are expressing. Oswald, thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, and for sharing your honest, open heart with us. It's really appreciated.
My absolute pleasure, Paul. Thank you so much for having me. And to everybody out there, thank you for listening. I hope that you'll find the courage to go where you want to go.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And everybody, please follow Oswald. OswaldHunter.com is his website. There are many different links to his social media on there that you can join, but we'll put some of those links underneath the podcast at the same time. Follow this actor, singer, model, producer, director, author, writer for more. And he shares some amazing content on his social media. And let's support that. Thank you very much, Oswald. And from us here, the Talent with Purpose Project podcast. Yeah, I got it right now. It's a goodbye from us.